The most prestigious Czech and Slovak virtual racing series is back. The best drivers from Czechia and Slovakia, competing in 12 races on iRacing. Who is going to win the championship trophy? That's Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2021. Welcome back once again to the Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP 2021 season. We're here for the third round of the season, and this time we're back in Europe for a race at Zolder. My name is Justin Sutton, and joining me as usual, it's Chris Buxton.
A lovely track in the wonderful countryside of Belgium. We are here at Zolder. It's a lesser known track than certainly Spa, but is very, very trying on anything that comes around here, and I'm very much looking forward to how our drivers do. Right, so let's have a look at the current championship standings. Lucas Postata and Lucas Pruchada leading the way. So if your name begins with Lucas, you're in winning form. Then it's Matušák, Sirotek, Korony in the top 5, all very much in close contention. Bottom end of the table, David Pruchada, Peter Kajada, Honza Reiger, all in very touching distance of one another. Eric Vizzi, wouldn't expect his name to be down in the bottom half of the field. Martin Svoboda is actually replaced this week by Josef Vakulčík, so looking forward to that. It's Entropic at the top of the field. ESET, a little bit of a gap to close down, but anything can happen, as we well know here at VGP. ERT Racing Team in third, and then it is Electrax Racing Simulator Benzina Orlan in 5th position. So lots to play for and many rounds to go.
Just having a quick look at some of the stats for Josef Vakulčík, who is going to be taking over that VR Victoria and Dexvin racing car. You can see his previous result in 2020, 15th with 73 points. So certainly has the experience to wheel that car to a good position. So wishing him the best of luck, and hopefully Svoboda will be rejoining us as quickly as possible. Just looking at the Entropic cars from race 1 and race 2, went from 6th to 4th did Lucas Postata. Michael Matušák going from 4th to 3rd. First to first for Postata in race 2, and 2nd to 3rd for Matušák in that very, very close race at Daytona, which if you haven't already seen the race at Daytona and you're here getting ready to watch the race at Zolder, I would definitely encourage you to go back and watch that race, because it was absolutely incredible, especially from those two.
So let's have a look at where we are this time. It is indeed Zolder. Air temperature fairly cold, but the track temperature is plenty high enough to keep the cars stuck to the roads. 1:14.0 set by Sebastian Bourdais. The GT3 shouldn't be pestering that one too much. Eric Vizzi, speaking of him being in the lower half of the table, he's on pole just about from our winner last time out, our lights to flag winner Lucas Postata. Then Lucas Pruchada, also fellow race winner in this series, with Michael Lehman alongside him. It's a bit of a mixed grid than what we're used to seeing. Thomas Horror and David Pruchada take on row 3. Wow, what a great performance there from the big truck driver, and a good effort there from the ERT Racing of David Pruchada. Then it is Martin Krejčík and Lukas Rozovsky on row 4. Michael Matušák and Martin Sirotek take on row 5. Alice Danda and Stanislav Senol on row 6. Martin Nedlik and Lubomir Moric on row 7. Thomas Korony and Honza Reiger on row 8. And it's Stepanovsky and our newcomer Vakulčík. I mean, bearing in mind he hasn't been in the car for a while, that's a good effort indeed. Only a second and a bit off the top spot. Peter Kajela and Thomas Prohaska on row 10. Peter Gavarik and Jan Sikora row 11. So a bit of a struggle in qualifying for them, but we'll see how well they can turn this around in the race. Glorious weather, of course, here in Belgium. Let's see how our drivers deal with this lesser known track, but a very technical one. It is time to wind them up and let them, wait for it, there's a bit of a hole whilst the Lights go out, and that's a bad start for the pole man. Look at how storming we had from the Pritchard on the second row, and he's going to take the lead before we even complete turn 1. What a great effort there, but he's going to be challenged all the way down to turn 2, and that's getting very, very close to the Lenovo Legion car on the inside, trying to regain lost ground. That was a horrendous start, first to third in the blink of an eye. But and here comes the all-4 sim car as well, trying to make ground forwards. But it is right in the front. It is Entropic leading the way. Again, another storming start from Podstata. But again, Lucas Pritchard, what a great effort there. Eric Vizzi will be kicking himself, but let's hope his luck holds up better than it has been. Still right up there at the top.
He's got the confidence to know that he is the fastest car over one lap, but certainly it's going to be difficult to overtake around here, and especially with how close it is, that's going to make things a little bit difficult as well. Looking a little bit further back down the grid, it looks like it's been a nice, clean start from what I've seen, actually, Chris. I'm not seeing any major issues. Ooh, that looked like a bit on Thomas Corney, a bit of damage on the rear wing. Someone may have driven into the back of that ESET car, potentially, but yeah, everybody's filtering their way through the corners very nicely, actually. It seems like not many incidents so far from what I'm seeing, and everybody's doing a great job. But yeah, as you pointed out, a fantastic start from Podstata, from Lucas Pachada as well too. Vizzy getting caught out, unfortunately for him, on the opening lap. It's not ideal. Michael Lehman in 4th position as it stands right now for Mecha All4 Sim. And then David Pachada down in 5th position. So both the Pachada brothers in the top 5, looking pretty good, and one of them in a podium position. Looking a little bit further back, though, ooh, things are getting exciting for the TP-Link drivers.
Yep, side by side, no team orders going on there, as we look at Thomas Prohaska on the inside line, trying to hold his own against his teammate, but that's a great run that we see. Oh, wow, that was very, very close indeed from Jan Sikora, doing an outside maneuver. Now jumping back up to the top, our pole man, Eric Vizzi. What can he do? It was nailed to the back of Lucas Pachada as they came over the line. Now Lucas Podstata starting to get into his groove a bit and are beginning to break away from the pack. So they bounce their way through this, what I refer to as the Turn 7 complex, on board the mighty Mercedes GT3 car with Eric Vizzi, the number 17 Lenovo Legion car, as he chases the 18 ERT racing team of car of Lucas Pachada down heavily through the gearbox for turn 8. Then it's the turn 9 chicane. Won't worry about that one too much. Turn 10, another opportunistic braking point if you're close enough, which Eric Vizzi is not, staring very much at the rear wing of the ERT racing car. Oh, he must be a little frustrated, but he looks like he's keeping his head, which is good to see. He'll probably be thankful for some good starting luck. He hasn't had a lot of that so far this season, but this is a prime opportunity for Eric to reclaim some lost ground.
Yeah, Eric Vizzi has had one of the worst seasons that he could have possibly imagined. Yeah, he was going very wide there. He's going to lose a little bit of time, but not too much to Lucas Pachada up ahead. Still going to hang on to the back of that ERT racing car up ahead. But yeah, Vizzi's had a really tough start. Oh, look at this. This is very, very close now, actually. Michael Lehman all over the back of that Legion car. Yeah, we thought maybe Vizzi was going to lose some ground to Lucas Pachada, but really Lehman is the one who is on the move right onto the back of that Legion car. You can see them really just tackling that chicane there, using all of the curbing up and over the crest down the hill. And yeah, Michael Lehman, again, looking very, very aggressive all over the back of Eric Vizzi, who just seems like he is not going to have an easy time of it today whatsoever. Meanwhile, Podstata continues to extend ever so slightly, now about 1 second between himself and Lucas Pachada, and I'm sure he would really enjoy that. Matuszek, not as great of a start, by the way. Started down just to the lower half of the top 10, still in the same sort of area, so unfortunately for him, still in 9th position. But yeah, Lucas Pachada, a fantastic start. Great start to this race. He's building the gap that he needs to, and potentially for him as well, Eric Vizzi could involve himself with Lucas Pachada, which is just going to help Podstata even more.
Michael Lehman is looming large in the rearview mirror of the Lenovo Legion car of Eric Vizzi as Podstata continues to extend his lead up front with another fastest lap. It's not by much over Lucas Pachada, but it is enough to continue to build the gap. But Eric Vizzi can't just concentrate on the cars behind, on the car ahead. Rather, he needs to worry about the Mecha All4 Sim car right behind him. There is Lucas Podstata, so not too far ahead. One mistake will completely undo his hard work. Further down the field, here is Siratek in the ESET car. Oh, someone kicking up a lot of dust here. And again, look at how still heavily condensed the pack is. We don't have any we haven't had any major incidents so far this race. Just look at throughout the field. You can see on the deltas, there's no massive gaps anywhere. So no one's had to go through the pits. No one's been off into the dust. Now I've said it, expect there to be some kind of issue going on. That's what usually happens. But there is the other Entropic car, Matuszak. We've seen the Entropic boys fighting out for the top spots. It's a little bit unusual that Matuszak is down there in 9th, not able to make his way through the field, but that is part of this circuit. It is, whilst there are several heavy braking zones, it is a very difficult circuit. You kind of get into the rhythm and try and force your opponent into a mistake. It's really their driver's best options. But everyone keeping on the straight and narrow so far. We'll see how well they continue to do so as the race continues. Oh wow, you saw the ESET car bounce heavily off the curb. That's that's the trade-off between trying to get that perfect line through the apex and just cutting it that slightly too fine. The ECT3 cars, while they can take a fair bit of punishment, they don't like going up on two wheels by and large. Oh, that's Ryger that's having to go at Stepanovsky for 18th position. I beg your pardon, that's Vakulchik, the newcomer. That's or the stand-in, I should say. It's VR Victoria and Dexvin. That beautiful blue car. I mean, we talk about the liveries every week, and it's difficult to tell them apart. We have pointed out the Entropic as our favourites, but the blue one does look rather nice.
It is, yeah, it is very royal, I would say, is how I would describe that. But rejoining the battle for second position, and look at that, Eric Vizzi all over the back of Lucas Bachata, actually. He's put a little bit of a gap between himself and Michael Lehman, so maybe he's just settling in, finding his rhythm. Again, he did go quickest of all in qualifying, but it was very marginal, less than a tenth of a second, down to Lucas Podstata. Oh, yeah, that's a very wide moment through the penultimate corner, through that final hairpin there. They're going to be side by side on the run down towards the chicane to end the lap, but no, it is going to be second position for Eric Vizzi, and you called that, Chris. You absolutely called that, and we had a feeling that that's what it was going to be. It was going to be a race of attrition. It was going to be all about capitalizing on mistakes, and Eric Vizzi has done that absolutely perfectly. He now has a 2-second gap to try to make up between himself and Podstata up ahead, but lots of racing still to go. More than 47 minutes of racing still to go. Definitely going to be coming into the pits as well too. So I would assume Eric Vizzi's not out of it. He's going to have opportunities here, both on the track and in the pits, to potentially make an overtake for the lead of this race. Get back into that place where he started.
Oh no! Well caught. So Lehman was, I'm not 100% sure whether it was Lehman that was late or Lucas that was early on the brakes there, or a mixture of the two, but both drivers caught that impact perfectly well. Oh dear, we talked about trouble, and it's Moritz using VR as well, so that's very frustrating for him. He's had to sort of look over his shoulder to make sure he's rejoining in the right way, which he has. Oh dear, Liebemir Moritz in the Recon Sim car. Oh, well, that might be why he was off into the dust. We did not so far after saying that we've had a good clean start, which we did for several laps. Now Thomas Prohaska with what remains of his TP-Link car in the pits, so hopefully we'll catch up with why that has happened or how that came about. But yeah, the overtake we saw from Eric Vizzi, he forced the error, as I was saying, but what he did, he forced Lucas. It wasn't so much an error, he was forcing Lucas into that defensive position, but that in itself made him just out of sync when he came through turn 8, and Eric Vizzi then very bravely, there ain't a lot of room through that turn 9 chicane, as much as it's flat out, it's there ain't a lot of breathing space to go down there to go side by side, which is exactly what he did, and up into second he's actually given himself over a second gap between himself and Lucas Bachata, so he's really beginning to shift. Well, so is Podstata ahead of him, so he's not gaining just yet. As we look at Thomas Horror for Big Shark, again a very solid qualifying for him, as he's right behind David Pachado, as we know is no slouch. Oh, that was someone kicking up dust. It looks like Lucas has lost his rhythm a little bit, and again that's another very important part of this track, is rhythm. It's just getting into that flow, which you can argue every track is like that, but some tracks can rely on that a little bit more than others. Now let's see what happened.
Here we go.
With Thomas Prohaska. Well,
was that Vakulchik?
I think it was, but that wasn't the car we saw parked off in the dust.
No.
Well, I suspect that there may well be repercussion of that, as it did very much look like that Thomas Prohaska was rather unceremoniously binned into the dust and into the wall. We'll see if the stewards have anything to say about that. We'll get a notification if they choose to take action during the race. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, that's a great shame for Thomas Prohaska, but we jump back up to this fascinating battle with Thomas Horror in the big cars. He's continuing to hound David Pichardo. That's not a bad pair of positions if the race finish now. ERT 3rd and 5th. A lovely haul of points for them, were that to be the case. And in fairness, Croatia right behind in the Mecca all for some racing. They're 4th and 7th, in fairness. So they're on for a decent haul as well. There is Michael Lima still trying to put that pressure on Lucas Pichardo. And there's that gap. It's come down a little bit between Lucas Pichardo and Eric Vizzi. Now about 7/10 of a second, as Podstarter is just dancing off into the distance.
Yeah, he's making it look rather easy at the moment. Since Eric Vizzi got into clean air, he's actually increased that gap, so that's pretty surprising, to be totally honest. But yeah, it's still very tight for second position. Vizzi's not quite breaking away. He's trying. He's slowly starting to, but yeah, he's definitely still giving a bit of a slipstream to that car behind of Lucas Pichardo. Who had that moment? It's worth pointing out with Michael Lehman in that car behind, just that slight touch from behind, which may have set him off just a little bit. But yeah, as you were talking, I did want to mention Thomas Horror is doing an absolutely incredible job in that Big Shock car, putting Big Shock in a place that they haven't been for a little while now. But it's been great to see the variety of finishing positions that we've seen from these drivers so far this season. Just people all over the place. Podstarter has been pretty regularly near the front, but you know, it's been very rare that we've seen anybody sort of dominating or anything like that. People all over the place. Bit of a gap now starting to form, I've noticed, between Krejci and Rashkovsky, between 7th and 8th position. So we've got 6 cars battling it out for second position in rather close proximity, and then a bit of a gap down to Rashkovsky, who's leading a bit of a pack of his own as well. Rashkovsky down to Nadlik, I would say, down to 13th are the next kind of group. So some groups starting to form. There's another group behind that as well, which is being led by Kujela at the moment. And yeah, just to go back to what happened with Moritz, because he was the one that spun off right around the same time as that incident with Thomas Prohaska. I'm just going to assume that kind of happened on his own. Unfortunate for him, though, he was in 14th position, so lost 6 positions as a result of that spin, but it just really highlights how close it is this year. You cannot have a mistake, otherwise you are just going to be losing so many spots.
Yeah, absolutely. As we continue to watch this, again, epic squabble here with this trio, a little bit off the back of the second place trio, but again, not by much. One mistake from that top 3 would really bunch that lot up. Yeah, it's just pack on pack on pack, but that just highlights how difficult overtaking is at a track like this. Speaking of, that would be Kujela. He's defending his position against Riga, so looked like he had to cut to the inside line on that turn 8. That's where it went wrong. It's where. Oh no, that's not gone well. But again, that was well caught there. Very well held between Riga and Kujela there. But again, right behind them, flashing the light, it looks like. That's Vakulchik. Well, he's feeling a little cheeky at the tail end of this particular train. That could also be frustration, because if he feels like he's being held up, and you could argue that the fact that they're just in this train would indicate a couple of them at least can't deploy the horses the way they particularly want to. Again, it highlights just how difficult this track is. You just got to keep putting the pressure on and make that mistake happen. But there are times when you go lap after lap after lap and just nothing changes. It will add to the frustration, but they just got to keep their heads. Otherwise, we end up with another situation like we had with Thomas Prohaska being unceremoniously ditched into the wall.
Down towards that turn 7 complex they go. No overtaking attempts into here for anybody on this particular occasion, but Vakulchik in the background is quite close to the back of that big shock of Stepanovsky, and Stepanovsky actually really starting to fall off the back of Thomas Korony in 16th position. So I think he's really putting up a flag that says, overtake me, because yeah, when you drop off the back of the car ahead when you're in a pack like that, that's just telling Vakulchek to have a go, and to just it's just spurring him on that little bit more. He's starting to close back up though. Stepanovsky closing up to the back of that ESEC car of Corny. Corny glued to the back of Rieger there. So yeah, he is all over the back of Yen. But back up to the front, I really noticed through turn 4 here that it's a nice stab of the brakes, and then it's really touch and go in terms of the amount of downforce that these cars seem to have. It really seems that a lot of them are running really low downforce, because even through that high-speed right-hander of turn 4, the cars just seem really nervous, and it's probably one of the higher speed corners on the circuit, probably the second or third highest speed corner. So yeah, you can see just how nervous the cars look through there, which could explain why we've seen some incidents in this race so far. Again, it has been relatively clean. We could see the top 20 still within 30 seconds, and we still have 39 minutes of racing still to go. So it is still quite close out there, but the incidents that we've seen, I think it's just because this car in particular, I think, is right on the edge of downforce and all that kind of stuff when it comes to this track specifically. So it's interesting to see how all the different drivers are managing to handle things. Meanwhile, up at the front, we haven't really looked at them, but Podstata and Vizzy are still about 2 seconds. There's some, some ebb and flow, some give and take back and forth, but they're still about 2 seconds apart. I don't know if Eric Vizzy is just managing his tires, thinking about later in the race, but at the moment, we're really focused on this battle here. We're on board with Michael Lehman in that Mecha All for Sim car in 4th position, all over the back of Lucas Pachata. In fact, I think that was one full onboard lap that we just did with Michael Lehman. And again, you can just see the nervousness. You can see the back end wants to step out. Even at 180 kph, whatever it was, they're coming out of that corner. There's just not the downforce to push the car into the ground.
Also, Michael Lehman's carrying a little bit of damage on the front right of his car. You can actually see it on that. You can see it on the onboard shot. You can also see it if you look at the body. You see the right edge of it, or left as we're looking at it, is not plush with the bodywork. So, I think you nudged David Pachata earlier on, but it's difficult to know if that's really making an awful lot of difference. There's damage to the back that I would have thought would be. Well, so it would be a bigger problem. Again, it really depends, exactly as you were saying, Justin, it really depends on what downforce they're running. I would agree with you, they're likely running fairly light downforce, so a little bit of damage out of that's probably not going to make an awful lot of difference to Michael Lehman. He's certainly not being lost at all by Lucas Pachata. As we look a little bit further down the tail end of the field, this is Jan Sikora and Lubomir Moric having an argument for 19th place. And now again, Moric is trying to repeat the move that Eric Vizzy put on Lucas Pachata, but he was a little bit too cautious getting on the gas on turn out. Oh, he's going to have a go into 10. You need to be later on the brakes than that, but it's really difficult. It's not a very long straight between turns 8 and 10, so you don't build up a massive amount of space. It's not like the Camel Straight in Spa, where you're on the gas for about 3 weeks before you get back on the brakes. Back onto this battle for third then, as these two are continuing to actually fall off the back of Eric Vizzy. There is the Lenovo Legion car just going over the crest there, as you can see. Well, there he is at the top of the shot, going through turn 6. That gap is now 1.7 seconds between second and third. The gap to the lead has remained fairly unchanged. Oh, wow, that was Senol getting very squiggly on the brakes coming into turn 7. And when you've got a loose car, it's for my own personal experiences, I'm terrified when you're in this kind of pack. If your car's loose, it just feels like it not only wants to kill you, but just pile drive into the car in front of you. So that was well held. I wonder whether Matuszek is sizing up a move here. He's really close to Rozovsky in the second Lenovo Legion car. No, not close enough at the moment, but wow, the second of the Entropics is very close to the Lenovo Legion car in 8th position.
Rozovsky, of course, one of the few drivers in this race right now that's not getting any sort of slipstream or anything, so that could be very enticing to Matuszek in that Entropic car in 9th position. he might be really thinking about possibly making this overtake. And honestly, he really needs to, especially because just losing lots and lots of time up ahead. 2.7 seconds now is the gap between Krejci and Roshovsky, which isn't an insurmountable amount of time if he gets by soon, but he needs to get by soon, and certainly Senol is keen. You can tell Senol is keen to get past as well, and I think Senol is maybe just giving him a little bit of time to try and make his way past Roshovsky, but I imagine it's one of those situations where, you know, you gotta do your business or get off the pot, as they might say. And, you know, Senol is going to force the situation if he's not able to get his way past the Lenovo Legion of Roshovsky. So, yeah, one Lenovo Legion is hunting down, and the other one is going very defensive, but it's still very much the same sort of situation for Lucas Pichota and Michael Lehman. Still in this battle for third position. They're still pulling away from David Pichota, who just doesn't quite seem to have the pace of his brother Lucas Pichota today. I don't know what the difference is there. It could just be one gets on better with the track, but we've seen in the past they are usually neck and neck when it comes to pace, so it's a bit surprising to see them separated. I know that's not a very big gap. You can literally both see both of them coming down the start-finish straight at the same time. They're only a few seconds apart from each other, but even a few seconds is actually surprising by Pichota brothers standards. The similarities on these guys is, oh, here we go, Moritz and Sikora once again. I have a feeling here that Moritz feels that he is definitely faster than Sikora. And he's unfortunately losing a lot of time, because if you look ahead of them up the road, it is a big old gap to Stepanovsky. It's about 10 seconds, actually, up the road for Moritz to Stepanovsky. So, yeah, he's got a lot of ground to make up to get back even close to the 14th position area that he was in previously.
Very much so, as we have a few people in the pits. There is Martin Adley just coming out for Benzina Roland. Oh, steady. It's a deceptively tricky pit lane exit there. It's actually very easy to slam into the wall. It's actually quite bumpy. As Lieberman right, oh wow. That door very much got slammed shut. You can try a move down there. You're more likely to try and make a move on the other side so that you have the inside line for that turn 5 chicane. But Lieberman Moritz is trying everything he can to get past Jan Sikora, and yeah, the veteran of VGPs is having none of it and defending like a champ as we jump to this pack for 8th position, including the entropic racer of Matuszek. He continues to chase Roshovsky. Oh, there's Stanislav Senol thinking about a manoeuvre into turn 1. Not a big enough braking zone realistically to try that, unless someone's had a terrible run from that final chicane at turn 10. It's possible, but you rely on the mistake of others to do it. But not a lot of... we've seen a few moves, but not too many. Not too many people sort of getting the robots out. We've seen a few people come into the pits. Nadlik and Vikulchik came into the pits earlier as well. Kavarik did as well. Lovely back shot here from Roshovsky, just to show what it feels like to have all these growling horses in your rearview mirror, which isn't a comfortable place to be. But Roshovsky, again, all these drivers know that this is not an easy track to overtake on. So if you just kind of run your own race, run your own lines, let them figure out their own way. By and large, that's the right way of doing it. But it's all well and good saying that from the commentary box when you're in. When you've got someone staring at you and chasing you mile after mile after mile, it's a very different thing as well, I'm aware.
Sirotek doing a good job sticking in that battle as well. Danda's dropping off a little bit. He's about a second adrift of Sirotek, and then it's a big old gap of 12 seconds down to Kujela in the next gap down. But yeah, Sirotek doing a good job. He's not looking like the fastest of the bunch. I would say Senol is probably at the moment looking the most comfortable, the most likely to make an overtake. But if Roshovsky makes a mistake, you can bet Matuszek is going to pounce on that, no doubt about it. Focusing on this battle between Lehman and Lucas Pichota, though, these guys are really driving quite well, as Chris and I have both mentioned so far in this broadcast. The drivers are really trying to capitalize on mistakes, or they're trying to force a mistake a little bit wide there for Michael Lehman, or attacking the corner a little bit more compared to Lucas Pichota, who seemed just to have a kind of slow in, fast out mentality, whereas Michael Lehman just chucked the car into turn 4 with reckless abandon, and it worked out for him, and he did close up to the back of Lucas Pichata on that I would say medium length run down to that turn 5 chicane. But Moritz and Sikora going at it once again. The TP Link car side by side with the Ricart car, and that's a little bit too close. A little contact between the two of them. I would say Moritz was deserving of a gap there from Sikora. So. I would say that was a little bit aggressive from Sikora, who's going to defend the inside line once again, and once again Moritz is going to have to he's going to have to be content with 18th position, because Sikora is, much like Roshovsky, is doing a fantastic job of defending, and I would say clearly he does not have the same sort of lap pace as Moritz. Look at that, he's just climbing all over the back of that TP leg. But Sikora, he's got a wise old head on his shoulders, and he's doing a great job defending that position. I'm not sure it's beneficial for him to continue defending that position. Certainly, it's not helping him catch up to Stepanovsky up the road, but it's making for good entertainment.
Yes, absolutely is, and I bet he's thoroughly enjoying the ride as well. Well, I mean, he may well have other ideas, but it certainly looked like a lot of fun as we jump on board with Lehman. Lucas Pichata went for a bit of a later run through that turn 4. That's just giving him that tiny bit of momentum he needs. Again, Lehman could have tried exactly the same maneuver we've just seen from Lehman Moritz. I was very impressed actually that Lehman Moritz was able to hang around the outside of 2, 3 and 4 almost, and not lose out too badly. Again, Jan Sikora just exactly as you say, he's using his wise head to just position himself just the right ways. Michael Lehman's not had as good a run through that turn 7 complex as Lucas Pichata has, so he's lost a tiny bit of momentum here, lost a bit of space, and that's going to be all he needs to secure yet another lap in the positions they're in. So it does get frustrating. Oh, here we go again. You ain't going to get 2 cars through there no matter how well you try. Well, not successfully at least. But Lehman Moritz, he has got the pace but nowhere to use it, and this is just adding frustration. I mean, sooner or later, there's going to be a big incident between those two unless they do resolve it fairly soon. Hopefully they don't resolve it by sending themselves off into the dust. But, I mean, I do feel a bit sorry for Lehman Moritz. He's clearly had a bad run in qualifying, which has seen him down the 10 end of the field with pace that would warrant him being further up the field, just nowhere to deploy the horses.
Yeah, I imagine he may even potentially be at the tail end of this battle here. In fact, he might be like up in 13th potentially. Certainly, he seems like he has really good pace, but yeah, it's got to be super frustrating. In the background, you can see another group of frustrated drivers who are stuck behind Rashad. Oh, Moritz is in. That's an early stop, but I like this. Anybody who's watched VGP for any lengthy period of time will know that I am a huge fan of just trying something different, especially when you seem to have that much more pace over the car ahead, and when it's so difficult to pass at this circuit. So I think that's a great call from Moritz. I think it's going to gain him 1 position and a heap load of time as well too, and I wish him the best of luck, and I can't wait to see what happens to him in the rest of the race. But for the meantime, we will turn our attention elsewhere and continue to focus on the battles that are going on throughout the field, and it is Lucas Pichata and Michael Lehman battling for 3rd position still. Roshovsky still defending from Matuszek for that 8th place position, and we've also got Kujela still defending from Jan Rieger as well for 13th position, and Matuszek's into the pits. So another driver that has said, I've had enough of being behind this clearly slower car ahead of me. I'm tired of these failed overtake attempts. I'm just going to pull it into the pits and see if I can get the overtake done in the pit lane during the pit stop phase. I think that's the right call. I applaud that. We'll see if it ends up paying dividends for them. But in the meantime, we'll continue to look on. And that is some traffic up ahead. That is some traffic. So we've reached the stage of the race where traffic is going to start to play a role here. And Chris, I have a feeling that this track, above the others that we've seen so far this season of Imola and Daytona, I think traffic could potentially be a real issue here.
You 100% agree. It's going to be bad for both the traffic and the ones trying to get past the traffic.
Yep.
Now, of course, Moritz is trying the undercut, essentially. He's come in before those around him. So the last thing he needs is to be given the blue flag and told to get out of the way. He doesn't want to be involved in someone else's fight. That's exactly where he is. He's already had Postata and Vizzy come past him, he's now going to have a whole host of other cars. Well, there's another 4-5 in that one shot alone. So, yeah, Lubomir Moritz, you either get on with it and get going, or you're going to be very popular very quickly. As Rozovsky now comes in, we're approaching the halfway stage, so looks like most people are kind of using the halfway. Oh, hello! It's that is Ryger that is having an argument with. Who's he having an argument with? That is Kujala. There's the Benzina Orlan car that he was trying to demote into 14th position. Couldn't quite get the move done. And right behind, that's Stepanovsky in the second Big Shot car. But another great pack that's formed. Lovely stuff. It looks like the Ricard guys have got lots of pace, but nowhere to use it at the moment.
Yeah, it really does seem that way. But yeah, Kujala is the car that's going to be defending this time in that Benzina Orlan. And again, you can see very, very different lines through turn 4. And this is Rozovsky still stationary in the pits. Is this a exceptionally long pit stop? Is he getting some repairs done as the Ricard car thinks about going side by side through that turn 5 chicane, but in the end decides that's probably not going to work out. Very similar to what was happening to Lubomir Moritz as well earlier on. Speak of the devil, and he is unfortunately going to have to get swiftly out of the way for this pairing here, and he is going to do it here on the start finish straight. That is the correct place to do it. And then he's got the Big Shot car behind him. That is a lap car as well, so he's going to have to get out of the way for that car as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, definitely. So, just looking in the pits, and Rozovsky did manage to get going. David Pichata is into the pits. That was from 5th position, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed, you're not mistaken. As we jump back to the battle as it rages on for 3rd position now, it will look a bit strange because we've got various cars out of position. Oh wow, that was wasn't Stepanovsky that bounced over that. That was not Rozovsky. I will get the right driver in a minute. Yes, the second Lenovo Legion car that's just cracked the apex. These cars will take it, but they don't ride those with the curbs that high that well. They do fairly well with these curves, certainly more comfortably than the single-seaters do that we'll see in the second half of the season. But there are some, they used to be called sausage curves. I've heard them referred to as turtles before. He's just monstrously big. How flash are the lights there from Lehman? He's getting very, very frustrated. Oh no! No, that was Lucas Ricciardo, I think, was going for the pit. He didn't anticipate the movement from the Lenovo Legion car. Oh no, Rozovsky was probably just minding his own business, and Lucas Ricciardo was aiming for the pits. He's now in the pits, but now we've got a lot of damage to deal with. That was a big disaster for the ERT Racing veteran.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. That is really unfortunate. Oh, some more contact for Rozovsky at turn 1 as well. He's gonna get some more light flashing. This is very interesting. So. Well, we were definitely right. We did say that things were going. Oh, Thomas Corney is off as well. Is that at turn 1? I think it. Or no,
that's the pit lane entrance.
Yeah, that's the pit lane entrance. And is he done? Is he done? I think he might be.
No, he stalled. 21 penalty points. That's because I would suspect that he's earned that because he just drove over. It looked. We didn't see what led up to that, so either he's missed the pit lane entrance or he's been involved in an incident that's forced him to take avoiding action. He's then decided he needs the pits and has gone over the dust there. I imagine that's what he's got that penalty for. We didn't see the incident, so I'm not entirely certain as to why. As we now look at Michael Lehman free of challenge, as Lucas Ricciardo, of course, involved in that incident with Rozovsky. Can now finally kind of get on with it. Is he going to come in this time? Podstarter is coming, as has Eric Vizzy. So our lead 2 have come in. So Michael Lehman is going to lead a little bit, unless he's coming in as well. No, he isn't. Thomas Horror is. So Michael Lehman is going to lead for a little bit. Who's going to have the better pit stop here, I wonder?
Michael Lehman came into this race on 1 point. 1 championship point with I believe it was 19th and a 15th were his finishers so far, and that's exactly. Oh, and Thomas Corney has indeed retired from the race. That is truly unfortunate. He joins Thomas Prohaska in the pit lane as a new permanent resident, so that is very unfortunate. But look at that. Look at the number of lead cars in the pits right now. Podstata all the way down to Rieger in the recart, all into the pit lanes. Cars starting to rejoin onto the track now. But Michael Lehman was in 3rd position, and I imagine he'll come out in 3rd position unless he goes really long. But certainly if I were him, I would be thinking about coming into the pits pretty quickly. There is Podstata, your effective race leader in the Entropic car, which is a sentence that we are getting more and more comfortable with saying as the season goes on. Podstata has been truly incredible, absolutely fantastic. But I just got to say, great to see from Lehman, and we really have just seen a lot of shakeup this season from race to race, from one race to the next. We are not seeing similar sort of results. There is a good amount of shakeup where fast people are finishing down low, lower down people from previous races are doing quite well in the case of Michael Lehman. Here's a replay of Lucas Pichata, that incident with Lucas Pichata. So let's see, we're on board with the ERT racing car. Yeah, and exactly right, Chris. He just went very late on the brakes. I do wonder, okay, now, Rashevsky could possibly, hypothetically, he could have been slowing down and staying to the right in order to let him through at the chicane, when in fact the car was going into the pits. So by slowing down and staying to the right, he was in fact getting in the way of the car rather than out of the way of the car. So maybe it was one of those situations. I would hate to say that Lucas Pichata just did a big whoopsie and drove into the back of someone. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was a miscommunication between the two of them, where he thought he was being generous by moving to the right and slowing down, when in fact he was just, becoming an obstacle. So we would have to check with the drivers themselves to find out on that one. Michael Lehman is still out, by the way. David Pichata is still out as well, too. So a number of drivers that we thought were going to be coming into the pits, not out just yet, but yeah, that's a bit of an interesting one for Lucas Pichata, but that's so unfortunate.
Now, what happened to Taurus Carney? Now, we saw him going, he's way too high. Now, either I don't reckon he was aiming for the pin lane originally. I think he just missed his braking point and sadly had no way of avoiding. I didn't quite catch who he hit the back end of, but he has opted to retire the car as a result. I mean, he hit. These GT3 cars are built pretty hard, so if you hit one, you will invariably stop. So, yeah, he hit the back of that one very hard. A great shame, because I think he was having a fairly decent run. Yeah, we won't really know what went on with Rosowski and Lucas Pichata. Only they will understand that one. And Lucas Rosowski has retired. So that again,
that's
that was
unfortunate.
That is very unfortunate. That was who Lucas Pichata went into the back of. Only they will really know what happened. Where is Lucas Pichata? Down in 15th now. He's nearly a minute behind the leaders. So that's how much time that one incident, whether it was a miscommunication or a misjudgment from Lucas Pichata, I just wonder whether he expected Rosowski to turn in a little earlier than he was going to. I mean, I don't know. I think you may be right. He was opting to try and get out of the way, but I would have thought he'd have gone to the inside line. He'd have gone to the left rather than the right. But it's easy. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? It's easy to make the assumption when you've got the time to look at all these details. When you're down there in the field, you've got split seconds. Sometimes it's like dropping all the pieces of a puzzle onto a puzzle board and hope that they go in the right order. The right pieces might fall, but not necessarily in the order you need them to. So we don't know what's happened. We don't know what the mentality was. We may well hear of that one later on as we look at Stanislav Senol and Martin Nadlik for Electrax and Benzina Roland respectively. And a great fight for 7th position. Right behind them, another almighty great pack. Well, that pack hasn't really split. Dan Desiratek and Matushek. Matushek's been there or thereabouts. all race long. I think he was in ninth before the pit stops happened.
Yeah, he was behind Rashofsky, so he's lost out here to Sirotech. So and possibly Danda.
Yeah, I think Danda has won out actually in the pit stop phase. But yeah, a lovely fight still to do. But again, it just comes back to the same application of pressure and managing the frustration that being in these packs invariably generates. These guys have just got to keep their head and still try and force the issue. But all well and good when you've got the time. But we've only got 15 minutes to go.
Yeah, so actually, you bring up an excellent point. Matuszek was in 9th. Now he's in 11th, and that's despite 2 cars ahead of him dropping behind him in Rashofsky and Lucas Pichata. So he should be in 7th, and instead he's actually in 11th. So, and actually, has Senol, is Senol the one that's really come out in all of that? Because Senol is all the way up in 7th position. He's 5 seconds up the road from Matuszek. How's he behind? Oh, that's a absolutely stationary Jan Sikora in the TP Link car. He's not just letting people by, he's letting the world go by. Yeah, over there.
He's parked up for he's got himself a ringside seat. He's become a spectator in the scene.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Oh no, this is Prohaska.
That's Prohaska. Oh dear. Well, I think it was his car that was parked, and
it must have been.
That's not a happy looking car.
It's really not. It looks like it's a couple feet shorter than when the race started, potentially, or at least the bonnet is. But
indeed. So we don't know what's happening more. Well, actually, Prohaska he's been in the pits all race long, wasn't he? Because he was turned into the wall.
Yes.
So that's why he parked up. He was actually letting people go. He's that many laps down. I mean, well, there's something to be said for determination, for the participation point, I suppose. Mm-hmm. We don't even know how many laps down he is. He's got to be 26 laps down or so, because he's been in there all race long. But oh well, fair play. He's come out, and it's the taking part that counts.
I gotta say a shout out to Electra. They have been moving forward. It's Senol and Danda now, both cars in the top 10. Really moving forward. I think this would be Senol's best result, despite some really positive sort of driving that we've seen from Senol. Yeah, his results have only been a 9th and an 8th so far, so this would be the best result of the season for Senol in 7th position. But I feel like he's actually been driving better than that. I feel like his driving has been sort of like almost top 5 kind of region. Certainly when I think of Senol's driving this year, I think it's quite high up, actually. He's one of those guys that's seemingly has really sort of improved from year to year, from race to race. Things have just gotten better and better for him. We're on board, by the way, with Matuszek, who you can see at the bottom right, who had that fantastic race last time out at Daytona. He's now behind Sirotech in the ESET car up ahead. He's got Danda a little bit further up the road, who's now starting to build a bit of a gap, actually, down to Sirotech. It's now almost a second. It's just about a second, in fact, as they make their way through turn 4. So I would imagine Matuszek is really keen to try and get by here, but you can expect Sirotech to really hug the left-hand side here, which is going to be the... No, he's not! He's going to let Matuszek go up the inside, but he brakes late enough to keep the Entropic car behind. Really impressive stuff there from Sirotech. To have the confidence to take the racing line there was really impressive. And he does manage to hold on to that top 10 position, which is for some serious points. It's you get points going down... what is it, to 15th position? Yep, down to 15th position. So this is for some pretty serious points for these guys. So Matuszek is going to be pushing pretty hard. We're coming up to 10 minutes remaining on this race, and it's really started to flow by. It was a bit of a train in the early stages, but just as the race has gone on, more and more mistakes have started to crop up, and it's just made things very exciting. It's been close, though, throughout. We've had close battles. Oh, that was very aggressive over the curbing there for Sirotech. We've had great battling throughout. Very close racing throughout for all the cars. But yeah, not a lot of side-by-side, which is just kind of the nature of the circuit. And the fact that we've had as much battling as we've had, I think speaks volumes about the quality of the grid that we've had this year. Look at this. He's trying it into turn 2 even, which is not really an overtaking location, but he's ready to try it anywhere. But look at this from Vakulchek. Okay, Prohaska is retired, I think, for the second time in this race, but Vakulchek in 12th position. Isn't that great to see?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he hasn't been in the car for a while and then just jumps in as a replacement, and, you know, solid midfield result for him. He was down in 19th or so. He seemed to be stuck there last time we looked at him, and he's all the way up in 12th now. What a great recovery drive for the VR and Dexvin, or VR Victoria and Dexvin stand-in. Yeah, great job. We have seen him in previous seasons, so it's good to see him back in the VTP outlet. So here comes Matuszek. He's lost a little bit of ground off Siratek, so whilst we were looking away, the Entropic second car has lost a little bit of time from the ESA car he's been chasing. Bear in mind, he was nearly pushing Siratek along the road. We jumped slightly further up the road, well, not very far, it's literally about 100 metres or so for Senol and Nadlik. It looks like the Benzina Roland car is getting twitchy behind the number 37 as he's trying to find his way through. So again, people realising there's not a lot of time left and trying to come up with inventive ways of getting past those they've been stuck with. But I think it's also testament to the fact that we are in the final 10 minutes of the race and there's still squabbling packs out there. We haven't seen the usual, just kind of the field is spread out and that's it. Maybe one or two little fights going on. It's taken this long for the field to really get to a point where there's not many battles going on, as we see one Benzina Roland car lapping the other. It's Kaz Kujela that's very much getting out of the way, doing exactly the right thing there. That must be slightly gutting when it's your teammate that's come past you.
It is. Actually, I was wondering if Kujela possibly ruined an overtake attempt for Nadlik there, because it seemed like Nadlik had some really good speed coming off of 4, and on that medium length run down to 5, I thought he might be setting up for a possible overtake attempt into that turn 5 chicane. Very difficult to overtake there, but it certainly seemed like he was positioning himself. You know, the body language of the car was telling me he was thinking about it, and then all of a sudden the lap traffic teammate came into play, and I think ruined any potential chance of that. But look at that, he sends it into that final chicane. Outside line becomes the inside line for the second part of the chicane. He gets a great run out of that corner as well, and he does manage to make the overtake. Wow, absolutely incredible stuff. That is possibly the overtake of the day. He really set that up, and like I said, I think he was setting that up as far back as turn 4, in fact. So Nadlik was really sizing up that overtake for a while, managed to make it work on Senol. Great stuff from Senol as well, too, to not crash, to be able to defend that. Really enjoy that. I love when drivers respect each other, and that was about as good as it gets.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like Matuszek is that's Siratek flashing his lights at Kujela. Nothing more than that. Yeah, it was a great move from Krejci from Nadlik to make that move on Senol. I think on Senol. Yeah, absolutely. So very nicely done as we watch these two come through the turn 7 complex. Obviously, the numbers in the top of the screen is the position they were in when they crossed over the line, so sometimes that number is a little misleading. Now we see Thomas Horror now in his season best position of 5th place for Big Shot. Very great driving there for the number 48, being chased by Krejci in the Mech and All-4 Sim car. But yeah, it was quite funny. You were saying that his overtake was scuppered when Martin Nadlik his overtake was scuppered, and the next thing we see is this almighty great move into turn 10. It's like, you were saying, sir? but again, he's using his head and using any available. Oh wow, that's as we saw there, Krejci getting very slidey coming through turn 1. Yeah, people are having to use what's left of their tyres and what's left of the time and different parts of the track to try and make these moves try and stick, because they've tried the conventional methods. Now we're seeing the unconventional come out. It's great to see, but I think a lot of people are really struggling with tyres. I think that's why Matuszek is struggling. He's losing time over the ESET car of Siratek. Maybe there's damage that we can't see, but I would think the tyres have probably had enough by now Although no one's told Senel that. So this is probably the first time that Senel's actually been in a having to challenge position, because nobody's been behind him for so long. As they continue to work their way now into turn 7 once again. And right behind them, actually right behind them is Dander, I've just realised. The Electrics pair are actually together. Last time we saw Dander, he was quite some way behind these two, so he's actually closed right in on these. Will Dander make another move, I wonder, because he's right with them?
I certainly think it's a possibility. And like I said, these electric cars have really been seemingly very, very quick from what I can tell. They're closing up to one another. I wonder actually if Senel is willing to give Danda a go potentially here. Maybe he'll just give him the opportunity to make the overtake. There's less than 5 minutes remaining though in this race. I don't know if they're in communication with one another, but back to the battle for 5th position. Again, this would be a season best for Thomas Hora if he were to finish in 5th position. A really nice points haul as well too, and this would tie Krejci's best finish as well. He scored a 6th place finish at Imola as well. So I do wonder how hard Krejci is going to be forcing that one. You know, because that would be a top 5 finish. That would be a personal best for him this season, and of course is one of the fantastic rookies from this season as well. I'm sure he would be very interested in that. And there is Podstata in the Intrepid car. We haven't seen him or Eric Vizzi. You can see Eric Vizzi just in the background there. But Podstata has just about had the measure of that Lenovo Legion car in 2nd position all race long. The gap has increased very, very slightly, only super slightly. It's, you know, we're talking hundreds, maybe even thousands of a second over the course of each individual lap over the course of this race. So very, very close between Podstata and Vizzi. And Vizzi had that absolutely terrible start. You know, who knows how things would have played out if Eric Vizzi had a great start and held on to the lead of the race from the very start. Who knows if they would be in the positions they're in now, or maybe Podstata would have made that overtake. We can only hypothesize on that one. But really, really similar pace from the pair of them, which is fantastic. Yeah, we didn't get a whole lot of side-by-side action, but again, Vizzi had that little bit of a mistake, and you know, that's about as close as you could hope for when it comes to a battle for the lead.
Indeed, indeed. As we jump back to this battle for 5th position, looks like Krejci's fallen a little bit off the back of Thomas Hora. Looking at the lap times, Hora was actually 0.3 quicker than the Mecha Raw Forcing car behind him, so Thomas Hora has still got something left in the tyres. That is David Pichardo right ahead of him, so there might be an opportunity for the Big Shot car to try and challenge for that 4th spot. We will see in the dying stages of this race. Yeah, there may well not have been a lot of overtaking going on, but again, yeah, that's the nature of the circuit, or certainly these cars at this circuit. It's one of these circuits, or one of these races that relies upon the application of pressure rather than just punch and counter punch. All of which has still provided some excellent racing and some great bold attempts that we have seen from the drivers, you know, from the few opportunities that have been given to them. Oh, that was looked like a decent exit from that final turn for Krejci. He closed in a little bit on Thomas Hora. Actually, no, Thomas Hora has actually extended that gap by another 1/10.5. So there's tyres left on that Big Shot car, it would seem. He's pressing on after David Pichardo. There's 9/10 between the Big Shot car and the ERT Racing of David Pichardo. So probably going to be too much unless David Pichardo falls off the road. So I think they're probably going to have to stay in the positions they're in, but you know, never say never. You never give up until that checkered flag falls.
Even if Michael Lehman were to have a mistake at this point, I think he would be in trouble. He would lose a number of positions just from a small mistake. He could drop as far as 6th just from a small off-track excursion, even without any sort of contact with the barrier or anything like that. It's only 5 seconds between himself and Krejci down in 6th position. So that personal best finish for Michael Lehman in that third place Mecha All for Sim car is he's got to play it safe. And at this point, I think he probably is. Less than a minute remaining on the clock. Matuszek still on the back of Siratek, as you said, Chris. I don't think he's got the tires left in that car. He just doesn't seem to have the pace come the end of this race, as the white flag will inevitably be showing here for these guys as the race is coming to the end. Podstata, I imagine, is on the final lap at this moment, so he's 25 seconds up the road. Yes, so this should be the final lap, and you can indeed see the white flag waving in the background there, just at the top of the shot. And I don't think it's going to be any better than 11th for Matuszek, which is really unfortunate. But for the other Entropic car of Podstata, it is looking like it's going to be a win here at Zolder for him. Eric Vizzi bringing up second position. Less than 4 seconds is the gap. It was round about 2.5 seconds thereabouts for a big chunk of this race. But unfortunately, Eric Vizzi just couldn't quite close that down. They both continue to extend that lead to Michael Lehman, who has run a pretty quiet race ever since Lucas Pichata was unfortunately taken out for him. But here we go. Podstata in the Entropic car, down towards the final chicane for the final time in this third round of the 2021 Mercedes-Benz Virtual GP. Just one chicane left to navigate for him, and you can see, there we go, we got the webcam down at the bottom right. You can see he's very excited, already celebrating the win with the flashing headlights as well too, in one of our favorite looking cars on the grid. It's going to be second place for Eric Vizzi, but a return to form after a disappointing opening couple of rounds, and Michael Lehman gets a personal best. He's on the podium for the first time ever. I imagine he's going to be absolutely thrilled about that. David Pichata, the lead ERT racing car in the end after that incident with his brother. Thomas Hora gets a personal best 5th place position with Krejci not that far behind him, and Martin Nadlik leads that battle for 7th place position. And in the end, look at that, the VR Victoria and Dexfin cars are going to cross the line in formation. They're not on the same lead lap. Kovarik is a lap behind on Vakulchek, but Vakulchek with an absolutely stellar drive, picking up some very important championship points for his team on a day where he's just filling in, which you just absolutely love to see. Jan Rieger, the Ricart drivers just had a difficult day. They seemed like they had some good pace, but in the end just couldn't get by the cars ahead. On the podium, though, as I already touched on, Lucas Podstata, he takes home the win. Eric Vizzi back where he belongs at the pointy end, and it is a first time on the podium for Michael Lehman. Absolutely well-deserved. David Pichata, again, the leading Pichata brother, in 4th place position ahead of Thomas Hora. And just Senol down in 8th position. I mentioned those other people. Adenda in the other Electra in 9th position. 2 top 10 finishes for the Electra cars, so I imagine they're going to be absolutely thrilled about that. Double points finish for the big shot cars as Stepanovsky manages to finish in 14th position ahead of Lucas Pichata, who does manage to pick up a championship point despite that incident, Chris.
So this is where the championship stands. It's the Entropic pair at the top of the field, but look at the lead now that Lucas has. Certainly not insurmountable, but it is very comfortable at the top of 65. It is Matuszek and Siratek and Pichata. Lucas Pichata now down to 4th. Good to see from leading the way early on. A very dramatic change in fortune. Then it's the tail end of the field. Senor, Danda, Lehman with that very strong podium puts him in 13th. Riga, Kujela, Stepanovsky, Prohaska, and at the very tail end of the field, Kovarik, Svoboda, of course, wasn't with us today, and Jan Seagrass still not getting anywhere, or not getting any luck, I should say. Entropic, very comfortable up front. Then ERT and ESET still locked in their battle for 2nd. Electra and Mecha in their battle for 4th. Benzina right there as well. Big Shock right there in 7th. Brilliantly done for all our teams. And that brings an end to tonight's proceedings. Thank you very much, Justin, for joining me in the commentary box. Always a great pleasure. Thank you to our drivers for putting on a great show. We will be back next time. So tune in, same time, same place. We'll see you then. Thank you very much, and good night.